Sunday, December 2nd, 2018, another NFL edition on sportsbookreview.com. The closing line. And I'm your host today, Donnie Rightside, riding a solo mission here. We have a full hour to go over every single game on the NFL card today. See what matchups we like, see what some line movements out there, some inactive reports are out. Always a fun show because you talk all week long trying to get yourself in a build-up for Sunday NFL action, and it's finally here. And some interesting information already coming down the wire, which will start here. And also I want to say, it's kind of interesting being on here as a solo mission today, but we do have the college football playoff. What if they keep us in suspense and release it at 12:59, or they get right after it in the first 10 minutes as I'm watching right now, so we can actually comment and add on and do a few things here. Just going to try to get these live links out so we can get underway and have a pretty good show and get a lively chat box. And again, the whole goal of this show is obviously not exactly what picks we're making or what you think I'm on or not on. It's about giving that information out, sharing it, and going over in the chat box to see exactly what we can do. Maybe pick apart some angles. Maybe you heard something today that you weren't sure of, and now you see some of these final lineups come out with the inactive reports and some weather information, and get that final last bit of info inside your head to help you pull that trigger and get after it here. Once again, Donnie Rightside here, solo mission, the closing line with sportsbookreview.com. Also be doing a solo mission as well at the half, so we'll see if we can dip into some facts there and see if we can gain some information in the second half as well. Doesn't look like we're going to have a live, let me just make sure I retweet this again, live through channels, then we'll get going here. All righty. So how's everybody doing out there in the chat box, huh? Interesting day. Did you make any money yesterday in college football? And again, as I said, I'm waiting with you here to see what we're going to have here in this top four. Hopefully it gets out quickly. So I do have access to Twitter and, watching it on TV as well as watching some pregame stuff in the NFL. So we might be able to pick and choose and, have a little bit of fun with this Final Four. You know me, I've been barking along all week long. But I do think Ohio State, as long as they were handling their business and winning by double digits, should be able to get the nod. But it'll be fun to see, win or lose. And, some key injury information. Marquise Brown, if he's going to be down, they have absolutely zero shot to beat Alabama. But they're going to be real coy on that information and overnight and say probably he's perfectly fine. It's just a banged up leg and he'll be ready to go ASAP. But they're not going to let that information get out there and see what's what. But let's get into some football talk here as we wait for the college football playoff to be announced. We'll go right in chronological order. We're going to hit every single game on the card today. So any questions or whatever, you say, hey, Donnie, we haven't hit this. We're going to hit them all. So we're going to go right in chronological order by time frame, because a lot of the time these games come out weeks in advance, and you have the 8 o'clock games, which were 1 o'clock games, and they push them tonight. So we'll just keep it right down the list and see what takes place here. 3:51, 3:52, 1 o'clock kickoff down in Jacksonville, the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, we know the quarterbacking information has changed from last week. No Blake Bortles in this game. They're going to go to Cody Kessler, which, look, I don't know if it's necessarily a downgrade per se, but, it's a quarterback that's not used to playing. You're playing against a good football team in the Indianapolis Colts. How much can he actually give you, and how much is left in the gas tank primarily for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Good news there is I know we were wondering throughout the week whether or not we would get a Jalen Ramsey sighting here on Sunday, but it looks like we are. He is active and ready to go. So that defense should be full tilt. Center Ryan Jensen is out for the, Kelly is out for the Indianapolis Colts in this one. So you might be able to get a little bit of pressure in this football game coming up the middle. Malik Hooker is going to be active. Eric Ebron active again. Seems like every time he's active and all by himself at tight end, he's able to score some touchdowns and move the football downfield. But, a lot of guys that were on the injury report for the Colts, they are playing. Again, the only one it looks like he's going to be out of anything of meaning is Ryan Kelly in this game. And then if we take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, as we already stated, Jalen Ramsey is going to give it a go. No Leonard Fournette this week, as we know, was suspended by the NFL one game. He really would have helped them out. Tayshaun Gibson active, Darius, Parnell, Campbell, but they are still a little bit banged up on the offensive line. You're going to be asking the Indianapolis Colts, a dome team, to go on the road and win this game primarily by a touchdown. Since why is that? 72% of the public are pulling there for the Indianapolis Colts, but that line opened up at 3.5, has now gone to 4, and Intertops is even showing, along with sportsbook.ag, a 4.5 out there. Now, if you're asking, what do we think about this football game? And, I actually don't have a great opinion on this game either way, because it's one of the games where you're saying, are you really going to bet, number one, on the Jacksonville Jaguars? How much left do they have in the tank? Number two, you fire your offensive coordinator, which it might help them out. But again, do you know that? You're moving on from Blake Bortles, who hasn't been all that bad at home, and you go to Cody Kessler. So does that open things up? And also, let's not forget, Leonard Fournette's not going to play in this football game, who's your hammer at running back. So if I'm going to walk into this game and just say, I'm going to be really sharp because, only a handful of people are betting the Jacksonville Jaguars, what exactly are we betting on? You know what I mean? Like, why? When I try to take a look at the NFL and where I usually try to make my bones is try to find some instances where you jump a little bit ahead of the public. Maybe you read some tea leaves out there. A guy might keep injury early in the week, or you're monitoring that, where you try to get ahead of it and say, you know what? I don't think that guy's going to play. But the one thing I don't like to do in the NFL is just say, you know what? We're going to take a non-public side, and Jacksonville's at home, and it's hard to win on the road in the NFL. I understand that, but I don't know what I'm getting from the offensive coordinator, and I don't know what I'm getting out of the quarterback position, and a team that's straight up fading in the Jacksonville Jaguars, so to speak, versus an Indianapolis Colts thing that has their eye on the prize. Second wild card still out there, and you never know. Maybe you can make a run, pick up a few games here, and end up winning the division outright. So it's kind of a tough one. I see the chat box going back and forth. Jacksonville lost the rope last week. They're going to get crushed. I mean, some are like, that's what you would like to read into. I mean, I'm sure they're a pretty proud defense, but they haven't shown up each and every week. And I do like the fact that because it really would have sent a bad, signal, so to speak, if you're a gambler coming in for Jacksonville. Jalen Ramsey just sitting out like, dude, I don't feel like being out there, man. Like my knee, if we were reverse and we were, had 8 or 9 wins at this point, I'd be out there, giving it my all. And maybe it's just not for me this year in this team, and I'm not going to risk it all. And we'll see what happens in the offseason. But at least they're playing everybody out there. But it will put to the test. It wasn't now 6 games, 1 total sack against Indianapolis on Andrew Luck. That's going to be tested today, I believe, because they're pretty much healthy on that front line for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Should they be able to get in after it? I think there's some pretty decent weather down there in Jacksonville. Yeah, humid because look, it's a far away from Miami. Miami's going to be in the mid-80s and humid today. Looks like no real precipitation out there, 12 to 13 mile an hour wind. So typical Florida day, but nice, warm, and muggy in Jacksonville for December. We'll see how that plays into with the dome team, which maybe it helps the dome team. They're used to playing in more bottled up conditions. You're not going to have extreme wind, rain, or, anything outrageous out there, freezing cold. But this game overall to me is a pass on both ways. Anybody else have a feeling on the over-under? Because it looks like, gamblers, public, sharps, they've all spoken. Opens up 47.5, goes to 48. Now I'm seeing 45.5s out there. Let me just see about some of these movements that we've actually had on this game. Today, yeah, look at that. Look, 12-2. It's 47 this morning, about 7:45 a.m. Eastern time. Now sitting at 45.5. So you have that significant downgrade in movement. Maybe that is because Jalen Ramsey is going to be playing, and maybe that keeps maybe a lid on the game, and people actually realize that Cody Kessler is going to be the quarterback. Could play in there. I know those teaser backers out there going to waste some points and just take, +2 or whatever it would be on the Indianapolis Colts, betting across 0. I don't know if that's the greatest way to go, but if you're betting a teaser and you go the opposite way, if you get 4.5 and you get that 6-point teaser out there and put that Jacksonville Jaguars up to 10.5, might be something on that there. But that game overall, not a great opinion either way whatsoever on that one. 355, 356, Carolina and Tampa Bay. Cam Newton and Jameis Winston going to square up here. 2 athletic quarterbacks, public spoken heavily on the Carolina Panthers at this point. 74% looks like betting on them. Opened up at 3.5, depending on where you shopped at. And it still seems about the same way. 3.5s at most outlets. If you're going to get a 3 out there, you're going to pay some heavy juice for it. -125, -124 is out there. Looks like BetOnline -1. This looks like one of the better lines if you were still looking to get in on Carolina. -3, 122. Some injury information of note in this game. Devin Funchess is back, although limited basis. So what that probably means is more goal line packages, big wide receiver. He's not going to be in for all 3 downs. You'll pick and choose some routes that he is going to use there, but also some other injury information. Levante David's going to come back in this football game. That should help Tampa Bay, but a major injury in that secondary. Brent Grimes not going to suit up, inactive today. So that's going to leave that already vulnerable secondary even more vulnerable. But let's see if the Carolina Panthers can get after. It's going to be some windy conditions there in Tampa Bay, but that offense is going to be as healthy as it possibly can for Carolina today to go after that much maligned defense. It's a division game. We'll see how it bakes out. But if you're looking at some point of analysis in this game, look, Carolina hasn't looked that good on the road this year. I understand that. Carolina, a couple straight losses. That's a devastating loss to the Seattle Seahawks last week, because that might have catapulted the Panthers and maybe moved them towards a playoff position, but now sort of floundering in a must-win situation. But overall, I just think Carolina's the much better team. Carolina beat the brakes off this football team a couple weeks back in Carolina. Now let's see if they can return the favor and go on the road and do the same thing. But as we know, Carolina not the greatest overall road team, but also sometimes styles make fights out there. If you have a team in Tampa Bay who played well last week against one of the more inept offensive teams I've seen in a long time, the San Francisco 49ers. without C.J. Beathard and without, Jimmy Garoppolo, a quarterback. I still don't understand whatsoever what we're doing here with Nick Mullins again starting in Seattle tonight without wide receiver help. That didn't work out that well last week, so we'll see how it plays out. Over-under in this game has come down as well. Look at this movement in this game, folks. Opens up 56 and a half, and now sitting at 52, maybe some 52 and a halves out there. So a decisive downgrade there from the public, I guess, when you see the windy conditions up around 20 miles an hour. But also, let's not forget, you're going to get some heat down there, right? 81 degrees. There's going to be no rain in the forecast. We're still looking at Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay can throw it. The one thing that you look at for the Carolina Panthers is they haven't been that great against the pass overall in the season, but some injury information coming back. As we said, Olsen's a go, Funchess is a go, Eric Reed's a go, Torrey Smith is a go, K'Wan Short is a go in this football game. Also, let's not forget, Curtis Samuel banged up with an injury. He's going to play. But Dante Jackson, the defensive back who was hurt, I believe, on the first series or first play last week for Carolina Panthers and sat that out. You saw how big of a difference that was. Russell Wilson was able to hit some deep pass shots for the remainder of that ball game. He's going to be back and playing today, so that's going to help out. When we're looking from a Tampa Bay side perspective here, no O.J. Howard in this football game. We know he's out for the year. No Deshaun Jackson. So the guy who takes the lid off of the defense is not going to be there. I mean, Mike Evans is probably going to eat. Bradbury's a pretty good cornerback, but Mike Evans will get his. But you do lose some weaponry out there. I mean, Godwin's a pretty good wide receiver. Adam Humphries can get open. But now you're saying, you know what? Two weapons that were there even in the last game when Carolina played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are no longer going to be in this football game. So one would think that would help from a Carolina side. To keep it short and sweet in this game, I think Carolina wins and take care of business in this football game. Over under, I'm saying if that continues to go lower, like if we're still looking at the 52, you're getting some pretty good value on that. I know there is some windy conditions, but when you line up, a Jameis Winston offense, you could probably pencil them into being in the 20s, and Carolina shouldn't really have that much problem moving the football versus Tampa. They didn't have any problem whatsoever in the first game that they played a couple weeks back there. So should be one to keep an eye on, but in those first two ball games games played in the state of Florida, windy conditions, hot conditions, but no rain out there. So, nothing really to really abrupt two strong-armed quarterbacks in Jameis Winston and Cam Newton. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for them to cut the wind. And maybe it affects, if you're not going to try a 54-yarder, maybe you're going to punt the football as opposed to, or even Riverboat Ron, he's not punting the football. 4th and 4 on the 40-yard line. He's certainly going for it. That's what he actually does there. And Emza says from Tampa, it's not that windy. So there you go. You get some boots on the ground out there with Emza saying it isn't that windy out there. Just maybe the gusts might travel up to 20 miles an hour, but we're not talking about hurricane force winds like Maury from Goodfellas out there. So I think we might get some scoring there. And if it's 52, Ron Walsick said it's not a windy day. Live a couple block miles away from Ray J. No winds to speak of. There you go, Ron. See that? Amazon Ron chiming in down there. So Goodfellas, look at that. You get that information right here in the chat box when you come in on the closing line. Where do you get that from? Everybody's scared off. You saw the tweets online. Woo! Real windy conditions down in Tampa. Watch out today. Now, the winds might pick up a little bit later in the day, but it's nice to be like, hey, look, man, I'm right around the stadium. Ain't that bad out here. So, and that's probably primarily the reason that line went from 56 to 52. You get scared off of winds, and it's mid-50s, but now you're looking in the lower 50s. Maybe we'll get a little bit of action there on that total. So that should be an interesting one. Good job. Good information out there in the chat box. If you do like the show, folks, please give it a retweet. Support the broadcasting here. Some exciting things going forward and moving forward on sportsbookreview.com. But it is football season. It's always the busy season. Not too far away, a couple months, man. We'll be sitting here on a Saturday or maybe even a Sunday talking about the MLB baseball card. So, a little bit of shivers to the bone. Still got a couple weeks to go strong here in the NFL and have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Let's keep it moving here, right down the list. I'm still watching. Any reports yet? Any leaks out there, folks, in the chat box on the internet to see if we have a release of the top 4 teams in the playoff yet? So keep an eye on that. And sometimes I'll be a little bit long-winded going over the rest of this professional football card. But if you do see any nicks and notes out there where some things have happened, make sure you jump in here and say, hey, yo, look at this team, man. Number 4, number 3, and all this stuff. I do want to say one thing. It's absolutely hilarious where people are saying Georgia should be in the playoff. Come on, man. Come on. I'll leave it at that. Keep it moving down the list. 357, 358, a inter-conference battle here. Baltimore and Atlanta. Lamar Jackson's going to get his 3rd straight start. First 2 road starts against some really bad football teams, but did win both of those games at home. Got some help from a pretty good defense and did what he had to do. When you're a young quarterback in this league, when you are a rookie, the only thing that organization cares about, not style points, not how many yards passing did you have, did we actually win the football game? Joe Flacco inactive again for this one. Lamar Jackson will take over, and also Matt Ryan is going to be on the opposite side. Some injury information that we always like to talk about. Alex Collins is down for the Baltimore Ravens, placed on IR, so he'll be done for the season. Jimmy Smith is active. Tony Jefferson, strong safety, is out. James Hurst is out. Not a lot of crazy inactives there. Gus Edwards a little bit banged up during the week with his ankle injury. He's going to give it a go, but it is on turf, so that's something to keep an eye on. Kenneth Dixon has been activated. He's going to come and probably be your third down backer, maybe get in that rotation of running backs for the Baltimore Ravens. Atlanta Falcons, some interesting information. Matt Bryant's going to be active. We've seen him. I mean, he's getting older up there. Hamstring injuries, back injuries. That's what happens when you're in your 40s, which I believe he's in his 40s, like me. I got hamstring problems, man. I got back problems. It's amazing he's still being at the top of his craft so long in the NFL. But the key bit of information here is, look, you're going against a really fast quarterback in Lamar Jackson. You're going to need somebody who can not really spy, but somebody who's going to be able to get in his way and force him to make throws. And if he's flushed out of the pocket, you might be able to corral him. That's Deion Jones. Welcome back, middle linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons. Probably the best overall player on that defense, or most, athletic, to say the least. I mean, you do have some good pass rushers up front, but that is a huge boon for that team to get him back. Normal suspects there will be back at wide receiver. Everybody looks healthy there. Obviously, Mohamed Sanu, Calvin Ridley. You're going to have Hooper over the middle, and obviously, Julio Jones on the wide receiver. You're going to have to score some points there against the Atlanta Falcons. Can the Baltimore Ravens score? Yes. Did the Baltimore Ravens have a good defense? Absolutely. But sometimes when you take a look at it, that rookie quarterback going on the road when he's used to playing at home or had some success at home, now going to go play a dome team. He's going to be really fast on that carpet. There's no question about that. Baltimore Ravens play on grass. He's as fast as all get out on grass, but he is going to be fast. He's going to make some plays today. But the one thing you could pretty much count on is I don't think he's going to throw for 250 yards. If he does, hey, look, man, congratulations. That's going to be a winner if you bet the Baltimore Ravens. But I just don't think he's going to be able to do that. And that's what it comes down to when you're looking at both sides. I think Atlanta's going to put enough points up here to put a little bit of pressure on the young rookie. Nobody's coming in for him. It's not like Joe Flacco's the emergency third quarterback who can play if needed. He's going to be out. So you would lean on maybe RG3 in the backfield, a couple banged up running backs up. I just think it's a good spot for Atlanta, and the line has really moved in my direction. I got it earlier in the week at a money line play of -110 on the Atlanta Falcons. Now it looks like it's -2.5, -114. No threes out there. I would imagine if it got to 3, people would scalp that really quick and take those Baltimore Ravens. Over under in this one. How about this one coming down? I agree with it. 49, it opened up 48.5 early in the week. 47s were across the board this morning. Now I'm seeing 46.5. So it looks like, Baltimore probably going to lean on that game plan. Let's run the football. Let's play really good defense. And we all know, look, Atlanta Falcons can score, but they played some really good defense over the past couple weeks and haven't been able to light up the scoreboard like you would if you're just straight up in a shootout like they were early in the season with a couple of their games when they were just injured on defense and trying to rebound. The Saints game comes to mind. They had a lot of shootouts early in the season, and also it wasn't the Saints game. Somebody else came down late and beat them late in the game. Cincinnati was in a shootout with them earlier as well. So a little bit better rebounded there, playing a little bit better on defense. And we'll see how that plays out. But in this football game, looking at the Atlanta Falcons in this one, and if I had to take a side total, it's hard. I know. It's hard to bet unders, man. I had an under I thought was a stone-cold winner last week. Looked good, started out good. 3 points in the first quarter, 20-some-odd points at the half, interception in the end zone to start the second half. Carolina Panthers, Seattle Seahawks. That one didn't work out for me in the end. But I do lean on the under just because I think the styles are going to be Baltimore's going to play some really good defense out there. They're going to keep it on the ground. And when you keep it on the ground, that clock moves. I mean, it's plain and simple. If you have two teams that are airing it out, good things happen. The clock stops. You get incomplete passes. You get, personal foul penalties. You get all that good stuff there. So I think this game might have a good chance of staying under. Looking at some information on the monitors up there, it looks like playoff teams will be revealed at 12:30. So thank you for starting the show at 12 and then popping that up saying you're going to have to wait around for all this filler and fodder, which means absolutely nothing because this 5-man crew up there is not deciding who the playoffs are. So we'll get some interesting stuff out there. Frank Rizzo, what's good, Donnie? Hope it's all good. Happy to be here for the knowledge. That's what we're here for, right? It's going up and down this card. See anything that pertains to it. We even have some people out in that chat box there giving us some boots on the ground type information. Like, hey, man, watch out for those reports where Tampa Bay, it's really windy. Maybe it's windy on the opposite side of the bay. Who knows? And maybe down at Ray J. Not all that bad. We'll keep going as we hit it. 359, 360. Good game here, folks. Cleveland and the Houston Texans, Mayfield and Watson, going to tee it up today. 62% backing Houston. The red-hot Houston Texans, which I got to start giving some kudos to, man. I'm not a big Bill O'Brien backer, but if you're going to go on a win streak of 8 straight, looking for 9 straight, you got to be doing something, right? And I think they're a pretty good football team because it starts with the front four. If you can get aggressive pass rush without having to bring the house, that certainly helps your back end, certainly helps your defense. They can bail you out of some situations. But now coming in against a Cleveland Browns team, maybe looking to turn that needle. This is going to be a tough spot for them. Opened up 6.5 during the week. We did see it go as low as 5, which actually Pinnacle's still showing a 5 -103 right now. But it looks like you're going to get that line somewhere around 5.5. Could it be a sneaky play again, folks? Could it be sneaky again to go to the Cleveland Browns? Did you like what you saw last time they took the field? Yeah. But those Houston Texans, man, at home, and it seems like you keep getting a boost out there, right? Houston Texans, for some reason, seem to be playing for everything every single time they come home. Owner passes away. George Bush passes away. They get to have an emotional little send-off because how big of a fan he was. And maybe that plays to their advantage. They didn't open up very well when they had an emotional send-off of their owner versus the Tennessee Titans, but they rebounded and corrected that bad start very quickly and were able up to an easy victory. What do you see out of this football game? Opens up 48. Sitting at 48, 47.5, depending on where you're shopping at. Looks like Houston, you're going to have to win by a touchdown in order to cover that. Is Baker Mayfield go on the road? As a rookie, he's still a rookie, but he's playing good football out there. Now he's going to face a significant pass rush. I know J.J. Watt was banged up a little bit this week, but he's going to be active, ready to go. Him and Jadeveon Clowney, loud atmosphere. It's going to be pumped up. So you're not going down to play a 3-8 Houston team where it's a dome. You say, I don't really know if anybody's going to show up or care. They're going to be loud. They're going to be ready to go. It's a big game for the Houston Texans. And if I lean in this game one way, it's a really sharp side to take Cleveland, which most of the time, sharps are always back. And Cleveland typically is a non-public play, and they are going to be that again today. We'll see if they can step up because this is an elevated challenge. This is a rookie going on the road, loud environment, heavy pass rush. He's going to try to be a gunslinger. That's what makes Baker Mayfield really good because he doesn't care. He's going to drop back. Oh, Jadeveon Clowney's coming after me. J.J. Watt's coming after me. I'm just going to make this throw. I'm going to try to thread this needle right here. And that can get you in a little bit of trouble. You'll see how they play. Maybe if they play close to the vest, hand it off to Nick Chubb, which that's not how you really win in the NFL. I like Baker Mayfield at his best, dropping back 35 times and saying, you know what? I can win this football game. We'll see if Jarvis Landry can get open. Njoku, you had a good start last week. You had some good feelings going around in the Hugh Jackson Bowl, but now you're going to step up to a heavyweight fight and go down and play Houston, who that defense is going to be ready to go. And that offense should be able to provide points against the Cleveland Browns. I have to say it. Look, it is anti-public, or excuse me, not going anti-public and just saying I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns. A little bit square here. I think Houston's a better overall team, And I know, look, hey, down spot for the Texans, Digital Kumquat saying, I don't know how much of a down spot it is when they're rolling. I could see if a down spot would be if you took a loss and then you had to come back. So, we got the loss. Let's see if we can rebuild it. But you're riding that hot streak, man. Everything they dial up right now is working. And they're at home, and they have a nasty pass rush against the Cleveland Browns, who they are more talented than. And we'll see if that rookie can hold up under duress. But to me in that game, I would just, I'll stay steady square. I'll go to Houston Texans in that football game, and we'll see what else. Sharp loves the Browns every week. Yeah, they do. They do. Now, to me, the Cleveland Browns seem to me a little bit more of a buy-on team when they're at home as opposed to going on the road. You play in front of the dog pounds, usually a little bit of windy conditions. You can muck it up. You have to be a pretty clean game here for the Cleveland Browns to go on the road and win. We'll see what happens out here. Sonny Vega, Donnie writes out, holding it down. Thanks, Donnie. Yeah, hey, look, the show's got to go on, right? You got to come on here and perform. I would like to be sitting out here watching this college football playoff with Paul Feinbaum on the TV, but it's a lot of money to be made today out there in the NFL. And we'll get through all these games and, got the monsters in the back there ready to go for a little bit later on today. No sleep till Brooklyn, man. We're going to be rolling all the way through till midnight till that Sunday night football game is over. See if we can pick up some checks out here. Let's keep it going. 361, 362. Buffalo and Miami. Decisive move. Opens up at 6. 3.5s across the board. And I got to say, I do agree with it. Because I think the Buffalo Bills are playing well. They're playing hard. They have something to play for, the rookie quarterback, and seeing where they can build it on the way through the rest of the year. Now, looking from a Miami Dolphins perspective, what do you always get out of the Miami Dolphins? Banged up again at wide receiver. Tannehill, is he completely 100%? You saw a game last week where you say, damn, look at the Dolphins, something they usually do a lot. Come up and bite a team when you didn't think they had it in them. Dominated the Colts. Up double digits in the fourth quarter. And the wheels fell off, man. Like, that's one of those wins where their record isn't that bad. And if you beat the Colts on the road and you say, I got Buffalo at home, maybe I'm in position for that wild card too now. But that was just a complete train wreck. Cars off the track. Now you're going to try to rebuild and, get back at it in a muggy day today down in South Beach. 85 degrees, heavy humidity. They do play in a semi-dome, so it's not that bad if you're even looking at any windy conditions or anything like that. So it's just really interesting when you try to boil it down and say, what do the Dolphins have left? Because it looks like the public has spoken along with the Sharps because it's still betting over 50% coming in on the Miami Dolphins. But when we take a look at the Buffalo Bills, I just like what they've done. I mean, the sign of a team that's in it fighting and they only have 4 wins. Like, you're starting Matt Barkley out there and you're picking up wins on the road in the division. You play the Jacksonville Jaguars and you beat them. Like, I mean, look, those 2 teams aren't great football teams by any stretch, but it shows that they care. It shows there's energy in the locker room. Hey, look, we'll put the rookie out there. We'll pull somebody off the street and we'll still get an honest effort out of our football team. I think you're going to get that today because if the Miami Dolphins do win this game, do you see them peeling away and just dominating? Because Danny Amendola is not going to play in this football game. Kenyon Drake is going to play in this game. Devontae Parker is playing, but he's banged up. You lose your 2 little water bugs out there, Jakeem Grant for the season. He's not going to be playing, obviously, in this football game. Albert Wilson, 2 electric guys who really helped you beat the Bears. It's not the same offense out there. You're going to lean on Kenyon Drake and Frank Gore. Maybe they get a bump because they're going back to the retro uniforms, which are hot. This retro uniform. One of the more, tragic things in sports, especially sports fashion, is the Miami Dolphins thinking they needed to upgrade their uniforms and went to the fluoride look that they currently have now, Aqua Fresh. They had one of the single best uniforms in sport. And of course, the Miami Dolphins thought they needed to change it up and change it around. But that's neither here nor there. I do agree with the Buffalo Bills in this football game. I think Buffalo is the right play. I think it's been coming down all week. I think Buffalo is a very live dog to win the game outright here. And we'll see what takes place. If we're taking a look at the over-under in this game, you know me. This sits at 40. So it's almost like sometimes you just want to bet the over just because it's at 40. 21-20, like at 21-20. That's barely any scoring in the NFL these days. That gets you a total. Look, I know the Miami Dolphins are down a little bit at wide receiver, and they're not going to be as explosive. But there's no monsoon down in Miami today. And they're not playing in 20 degrees and snow like you might be seeing in Green Bay today. 40, they're going to just auto bet it and say, let's just see what happens out there. You know what I mean? 40. Taking the over in that game, even though I don't think it's going to be an absolute shootout where the game gets into the 60s or whatever, and it's 31-30 when it's all said and done. But 40 is kind of ridiculous. And you can say, hey, man, didn't I see a couple weeks back where I saw the Miami Dolphins play, a 13-6 game, whatever that was between the Jets and the Dolphins? I mean, you have seen it. You have. But I can't take it. I can't. You got to give me like 55.5 anymore. I got burned on a 46.5 last week that I thought was really good and ended up going way over the total. I won't get burned again. As much as I would like to say this game should trend to the under, 40 points, man, 21-20 gets this done. Maybe 46. You might think a little bit differently there. But that's just extreme low. That's just extremely low to me. Let's get to one of the sharper plays, which I know a lot of people are taking a look at this football game. A lot of moving parts here. 363, 364, Chicago and the New York Giants. Chase Daniel, again, is going to be quarterbacking the Chicago Bears going up against Eli Manning. The one thing I do, you guys know me. I mean, every chance I get, take a shot at Eli and the boys, I'm always going to do it. You look at the game last week versus the Philadelphia Eagles, ripe for the beating. Hey, Eli, man, look at us, man. We're going to run away and beat the Eagles team by double digits. And then he goes Eli on you when you can't have it, right? Eli always going to go Eli on you a couple situations in a game. You got a field goal in your back pocket. Maybe you try to take a shot in a one-on-one coverage. He throws it right in the middle of double coverage for an easy interception by Malcolm Jenkins. So you don't go up double digits at the half. The Eagles turn around and really get after it in the second half and put the Giants away. But now you're coming home into an environment. Let's take a look. I mean, to be honest with you, if we take just a 5-game synopsis here of the New York Giants, say what you will, I don't think Pat Shermer is a very good coach. But they're playing for this coach because if we see the game at Atlanta, 23-20, Washington Redskins, 23-13, San Francisco, you pick up the win, 27-23, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you pick up the win at home, 38-35. You go play the Eagles when you had a double-digit, forget about double digits, I think it was 19-3 at one point in time in that game. 25-22, you lose in that game. What does that say? You're in every single football game. I do know the Bears are good. The Bears are rested. They played on Thanksgiving. They got an extra week and a half. But Trubisky's going to be out of this game. And what do you want from the Chicago Bears? Do they want style points? Do they come out and say, hey, Chase, man, look, I need you to get out there and go 30, 35. No. Short passes, the same way you saw against Detroit. And maybe you lean on Eli Manning going Eli on you for a couple plays, and maybe you can pick up a pick six like they did versus the Detroit Lions. Maybe you can make a big key interception in the end zone like they did last week versus the Detroit Lions, and Eli's going to give those to you. Evan Ingram being down is a big injury, and it was a big injury last week versus the Philadelphia Eagles because he really opens up the middle, not by necessarily catching passes, but to have a super athletic tight end that can split the linebackers and carry a safety with him really helps out Odell Beckham in the passing game. He's not going to be there. And I don't think you're going to be able to. I'm interested to see what Shermer does today because he knows that nasty pass rush is coming. It's on turf. It's Khalil Mack. He's healthy. Giants offensive line, not the greatest offensive line in the world. There will be pressure. Eli sacks himself. This is going to be one of those games where you say, you know what, Saquon, even though we left you out in the second half, let's just run the football and go up the middle repeatedly. That's not going to happen. I'm interested to see the game plan that the Giants build around Eli Manning today. 3-step drops, a lot of shotgun, a lot of quick plays, screens on the outside. Chicago's a nasty defense, man. Good as it gets in the NFL. They're going to put pressure on Eli. Eli's going to throw interceptions. But something about the Giants' MO where they just play good football at home. And they haven't quit. And it's not necessarily about winning the game because when you look at it right now, line opened up at 4.5, 3.5, depending where you're shopping at. Same lines out there right now. -3.5, 4s. I think the Giants can hang around. I do. I really think the Giants can hang around. Completely different story if this game was in Chicago. And also a completely different story, folks, if Mitchell Trubisky is in the game. Because then you get the wheels at quarterback. You get the stronger arm. You can push the football downfield. What did you see a lot? Last week, even in a dome for the Detroit Lions. Look, Chase Daniel did everything he needed to do. They won the football game, and they actually won and covered. But he wasn't really the reason they won. He did what he had to do, like a point guard. Throw it out short, 5-yard play, 7-yard play. Guys open, make sure I hit him. And he's going to be able to do that today. But you don't have Mitchell Trubisky to make those special plays where he's rolling out and can throw the ball deep. I know Trubisky's still a young quarterback. He's going to make mistakes. But Chase Daniel, as long as he doesn't make the mistakes, Chicago should win this football game. But I think the Giants are going to be really close here. I really do. Taking a look from an over-under perspective in this game. Really wanted to take it early in the week because I'm in the Northeast. It's warm today. We're going to get close to 60 degrees. It's a little bit overcast, some rainier conditions, but mostly going to be moving out throughout the afternoon. It's a shame because if Trubisky was in this football game, I would love the over because it's not even high. 43. The reason why it probably is 40-3, obviously, you don't get that bump because Trubisky's not playing in this game. You have a couple downgraded guys, no Evan Ingram. And the Giants don't necessarily play to an over-tight mentality. Eli's a little bit older. He's going to be under duress. He's going to take sacks today. They're going to punt, and again, the MO of the Chicago Bears isn't let's light it up, play high-flying offense like the Rams' greatest show on turf. That's not going to take place either. But I really wanted to take the over, and it's a low number, and it's nice weather in the Meadowlands. Rain's, again, moving out of here. You shouldn't have any conditions, no heavy winds. It's December. Imagine that. December in the Meadowlands, you're going to get a pretty good weather day. And it's crazy, and it's only 43. And again, I preface this by saying I really like the over early in the week, but I just see it playing to more of an under-type game. Chicago's going to lean on their defense, hand the football off. Chase Daniel's going to make short passes. They're going to eat up the clock. Same thing with the Chicago Bears, the New York Giants. You think Eli's going to get time to take a 7-step drop against that pass rush with that O-line? Man, it's not happening. It's just not happening. A lot of short, quick passes in this game. I think it does. So we'll see what happens. Yes, Sonny, how many sips do I have? Let's take another one here. Let's get this going. So you got to stay hydrated. It's like that Crown Royal commercial, man. Take your hydration breaks. We'll have some Crown flowing today. Hopefully we can get some dubs on the board. But this is an interesting game. And again, I'll get back to it. I'm going to lean on taking the New York Giants. And as we speak right now, 3.5 pops up at Chris. 3.5 bet online. 3.5 sportsbook.com. We'll see where that line ends up. You almost got a complete 3. I believe it was. Let me just check. Let's bring up some SBRodds.com lines here. Never quite got to 3 at most outlets, but you got like a -3.5, -104, minus in that area. So you got some close ones. I don't think it was ever in danger of actually going to 3. So yes, Troy Wooder right now. Monsters are later. Monsters are come in the morning and they come in the afternoon. Give us a little pick-me-up out there. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Is that what it is? Bang, there it is. Good call out there. So I didn't think that was going to be the case. I would like to hear what comes in the back end of it, but Oklahoma was the only team, or Oklahoma, Ohio State was the only team to get that 4 spot. So I thought it would be a little bit different there. I thought Ohio State would get the nod. I thought they were the better team, and I think Alabama's going to absolutely annihilate Oklahoma, but I do think that game's going to be an over. I wonder what that over-under is going to come out for that first one here. See you, Chris. Thanks for tuning in, man. What do you think that over-under is going to be, Alabama, Oklahoma? Not going to be 78 because it's not two Big 12 teams. But if that's laced anywhere in the 60s, you got to think Alabama goes for what, 50 themselves? And then Oklahoma, if they even have Marquise Brown in that football game, should be interesting. I mean, they'll come out with some news and notes there a little bit later in the day about what some of these are. I think Clemson's going to eviscerate Notre Dame. Clemson's a good football team, man. They should beat them up. Yeah, I don't think it gets into the 70s. I don't know. Can it get in the 70s? I mean, I guess it can, but also you're looking at between Alabama and Oklahoma when they line up, style points you don't really need, and you're going to play the championship game the following week. So I really don't know how much that's going to get into. It should be interesting. That's a good one, though. I thought Ohio State would get in, and Ohio State stays at 6. So that's always way off on that one, man. So Georgia's going to stay. Georgia's going to take a loss and stay at 5. That's pretty impressive there. Pretty impressive. All right, let's keep it moving here, folks. But that Giants-Chicago game, again, folks, to me, I'm not putting any money on that total, but I think it just plays to an under. Watching some scenes there from MetLife Stadium, and it looks pretty clear. Looks nice. Nobody's really bundled up out there. No wind whipping around. You should get some decent weather in that football game, so that's why I lean on there. Are those real lines? I don't think we have real lines yet on this game, do we? On Twitter? Let's see. We got a second here, right? About a half hour through the show. Oh, it's another thing. Point spread. Yeah, there's not really anything out there yet. I'm sure they'll be all released a little bit later today, and we can have some fun and get after that. But let's keep it moving down here. Denver, Cincinnati, 1 o'clock game, East Coast time. 365, 366. Another tough game. This has a lot of the MO, folks, of the Chicago-New York Giants game, does it not? The only difference is you're going to get Driscoll at quarterback instead of going with the Red Rocket, the Ginger Ninja out there who's not going to be playing in this football game, Andy Dalton. And you go to Driscoll. So what do you get out of him? Public again, coming down heavy, 67% on the Denver Broncos, opens up 3.5, 4.5. Now sitting mostly at 4. It looks like Bet Online is at -3.5, -112. So you get a pretty decent number if you're looking to weigh in on the Denver Broncos. Talked about it this week, going through a couple shows on some angles that we do like and that we don't like here. I do think that the Denver Broncos learned a lesson, or I hope they learned a lesson, when they went on the road early in the season against an inferior opponent like they're facing today in the New York Jets, and they got clowned in that football game. They're playing for something. Maybe a wild card too. Who knows injury-wise what takes place at the top of the division? Kareem Hunt, that whole situation. And then you're looking also behind it, Melvin Gordon, that whole situation. So, I mean, you never know. They're still playing for a lot. But I think they learned something in that previous game. Now, learning something and actually carrying through, because you're going to have to win that game, by more than 4 points to cash your ticket. Brandon Marshall's going to be out of this football game. Good to see Emmanuel Sanders is up in this one, but you do have some injuries on the defensive side. Key injury information for the Cincinnati Bengals there, guys. A.J. Green active for this game. That's going to help. Cordy Glenn is going to miss it, but you're getting some help back on defense. Sean Williams active for the game. Dre Kirkpatrick active in this game. Carlos Dunlap, Darqueze Dennard, also Nick Vigil active as well. So it's maybe not that Cincinnati defense that you've seen the previous couple weeks, maybe a little bit more fortitude there. And when I look at the Denver Broncos, they don't show up to me as a over-type team. Case Keenum more like, again, I like to talk about like that point guard type system. Not going to take a lot of chances. If they're there, make the short, quick pass, lean on Lindsey at the running back position, and basically say, Cincinnati, you're out of it. You should just roll over at this point. We should be able to come in here and beat you. I think it's going to be a close game. And when we're taking a look again, you're getting a short line on Cincinnati. But here's the thing why I'm just not going to get in here and say, boy, oh boy, why don't we just, sharp it up and take the Cincinnati Bengals? Again, what am I getting out of Driscoll? I don't have the full playbook to me. You know what I mean? Like Andy Dalton, say what you want. He's a viable NFL quarterback. And if he's in position, he's going to have the right play calls out there. He's going to be able to make the right changes. Now you go to Driscoll, who's expected to start and play well against a team that we don't really know we're going to get out of. It is nice to have A.J. Green back. Yes, it is. But I can't put my money on a guy like Driscoll. Same thing with Jacksonville. Hey, let's just be real sharp at home and take a home team, get more than a field goal with Cody Kessler. I can't do that, man. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. So, but those, I don't really have a great feel for that game. I do think Cincinnati would be game here. And over-under in that situation, 45.5 is not that much. But again, Denver to me doesn't really play as a total over team. But how about this in Cincinnati, folks? 63 degrees. No rain. That should play into an over, right? What do you usually get on December 2nd in Cincinnati? 40 degrees, windy conditions. So that's my thoughts on that game. I don't have a whole lot there. 367, 368 Rams. Rams should run over Detroit. But again, we're gamblers. So it's not about will the Rams actually win this football game. We need to know if they're going to cover the 10 points and the over-under at 54. The over-under opened up a little bit higher this week, 54, 55 in that range, but now sinking back to a 54. And I agree with that. That's a lot of points. And you're stripping down parts, man. Like you go into the chop shop, you put the donk in there, you take the tires off, strip down the doors, all that stuff. That's what the Detroit Lions did to their offense. Golden Tate, see ya. Marvin Jones injured, see ya. Kerryon Johnson, boy, you're looking really good this year. Not playing again today. Not much to play for Detroit. They were rested a little bit. They played on Thanksgiving, and they played on Thanksgiving at home, so they should be ready to go. But then again, the Rams are rested in this one. Rams get that little energy bump, right? Watch it on TV. Can't wait to watch this Dallas Cowboys-New Orleans game. Come on, Dallas, come on. Got the W for them. Now in that locker room, now you're talking about, let's close the door on the NFC. Let's make sure it goes through LA. What do they chant? Whose house? Our house out there? Let's make sure this is going to be a Rams top seed in the NFC goes through the Rams. And that should give them a nice little bump. But how much do they really want it in this game? I mean, let's take a look at some of these Rams games here. Let me bring up a few of the past couple games that we can see exactly what was going on here, because I know there's a little bit of an MO. I mean, look, he pounded the San Francisco 49ers 39-10. Green Bay 29-27. New Orleans 45-35. Seattle 36-31. Kansas City 54-51. Look, it's a little bit elevated competition here because I don't think Detroit's on the same level as San Francisco and, record-wise as Green Bay, but I think Green Bay has a little bit more advantages there, especially with Aaron Rodgers being quarterback. But New Orleans, Seattle, and Kansas City are really step-ups there. You went 2-1 in those football games, including that high-flying shootout 54-51, and that last game was so much fun to watch. But they did have a break, and they should be re-energized because you might say, oh, man, it might be a dead spot. Double digits laying on the road, going to Detroit. Detroit not really much to play for. But I think you got a little bit of an added boost, man. I think you got a little bit of an added boost here with the fact that New Orleans lost. A little bit of more juice in the locker room. Let's go out and handle our business now. Let's just start busting teams up and say, you know what? It is going through the LA Rams here. We're going to host in the playoffs. So I think that's a little bit added. Do I want to lay double digits on the road? No, not really. Not really. Do I want to lay 54? Do I think the Rams can score? Yes. But I brought it up multiple times on the Audible. The Rams are that type of offense that they'll get the play call in a little bit later. They'll snap the football under 5 seconds. They'll run Todd Gurley in this game if they're up, 14 points and wear that clock down. They don't need to press the gas pedal because Detroit can't counterpunch. Matthew Stafford's not counter-punching the Rams today. You get Aqib Talib back in this game. Is he going to be, all-pro Aqib Talib? Probably not. I mean, he hasn't played football in a while, but for all intents and purposes, from what they're reporting back out there for the Rams, that he does look good. Now you match him up with Marcus Peters. Maybe he gets his head turned on straight. You still have a dominant pass rusher up front with the best defensive tackle in football. Maybe the best overall defensive player in football in Aaron Donald. Lots going against Detroit here because there's not a lot of play for Detroit, and I think you're getting a little bit of an energy boost from the Rams. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts on that football game here. Let's see what we got. Keep bringing it up, going down the list. And look, we got about another half dozen games to go. Running right on time, about 15 minutes. Because we don't have to spend much time on these next 2-3 football games. So we can spend a little bit more time on some of the bigger games coming up today. Arizona, Rosen, and Rodgers. Green Bay laying 14.5 early in the week. Let's do that again. It just doesn't make sense. And it only makes sense, I guess, in any facet because it's Arizona, and Arizona is horrific. And Arizona hired a head football coach, which they're now talking about firing at the end of the year. There's no weapons on offense. And I love the crowd that was like, yo, Byron Leftwich gets in there as an offensive coordinator. It's really going to move. Come on, man. Like David Johnson, he's got to, usually you'd be mad because if you're in like a contract year, and you're like, you're really going to get me with this, right? Like, you really are going to get me with this. No, he got his money. It doesn't matter if he gets 50 yards, 60 yards, 20 yards, or 120 yards. He got his money. He's going to be happy anyway. But they're going into some really windy, snowy, bad conditions here for a dome team from Arizona. One would think Green Bay should handle their business. But Green Bay is trash. They are a trash football team. And I'm going to say it until the cows come home every time they get on here. Aaron Rodgers, take that out of your head. This team isn't that good. Aaron Rodgers can't go out there and just be like, oh, he's Aaron Rodgers, and wipe teams off the map anymore because the defense stinks. His offensive playmakers, they stink outside of Devontae Adams. He has two decent young running backs, a banged-up offensive line, and nothing at wide receiver outside of Devontae Adams. Ooh, Randall Cobb's back today. What is he, 90? In bad weather? I'll take that. I mean, Arizona's dipped below 14 now. It's at 13.5. Over under hanging steady at 41. I don't know what Arizona's going to do on offense in bad weather. And is Green Bay really like motivated? Hey, man, let's put them down 35-3 or 35-10. What motivation is there? But I did hear Randall Cobb say stuff like, man, Aaron Rodgers is ready to slay everybody. Well, where was he the first 9-10 weeks of the season? He wasn't ready to slay anybody? So, I mean, to make it simple, I don't really care about this football game, but you got to get your head examined if you're laying that many points with Green Bay. I don't care where the game. I don't care if the game's played on Mars. Keep it moving. 371, 372. Kansas City and Oakland. Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr. A lot of stuff surrounding this game. Obviously, we know with Kareem Hunt. Not a lot of line movement, though. I mean, we did have some 15s out there, but we're still steady at 14s across the board. No Sammy Watkins for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game either. Eric Berry going to miss this game, it looks like, as well. Maybe save him for a little bit down the stretch. I do still think the Kansas City Chiefs should be able to blow this team right out of the water. But there is a little bit of a mental aspect to it, right? A little bit more of a whirlwind going around that Chiefs locker room where you remove Kareem Hunt out there. Spencer Ware should be fine. And they're playing the Raiders, and the Raiders stink, so they should be okay in this football game. But do they press the gas pedal? Because I think the public and the sharps are leaning the same way I am. Over under 56, now 53.5. There still should be points, but maybe they can roll coverage to Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs are going to score points. That's what they do. I mean, the system is just in place with dynamic play calling, and as long as you have some threats, a la Jason or Kelsey over the middle, and also with Tyreek Hill, you're going to score points. Spencer Ware is going to be fine. He's going to eat up a lot of yards. You know, he's going to rush for over 60 yards and catch for over 60 yards of passes today. I think we can schedule that in. But how motivated are you? Is it maybe a little bit of a hangover? Chiefs are resting ready. They're coming off a bye. But that whole Kareem Hunt situation, are they like ready to quit? I mean, he was still practicing this week as if he was going to be the starter. Now Spencer Ware gets a shot. I still think they'll move the football and win. I'm not really interested in their division laying 14 points because that means what? The Chiefs would have to win by 21. Because even when I saw Kareem Hunt, where let's just say he wasn't playing this weekend, because at first he just goes on like the exempt list when everything broke, and you know we didn't know if he was going to get cut or not. But now might be a little bit something to it, because if he was just out and we'll sit him this week and we'll do the PR rounds and he'll play next week, maybe it's a little bit different. But I think that might be tough to handle at a 14-point line going on the road. Don't really love it that much there. Hey, Donnie, side your bottle like Mark Zuckerberg. What's that mean? Sign it? Ganja Gamers, think Kareem Hunt goes to the Eagles. Yeah, I saw the reports out there. I mean, by the way, he's going to be suspended a long time, though. So it's not like you're just going to pick him up somewhere in the offseason. He's going to be able to play like game 1 or 2. I mean, he's probably looking at 6 to 8 games at least, because they want to make a story out of this one, and rightfully so. But that game, I don't have much on it, so we'll speed it up on this one. If I'm not laying double digits on the road with a massive liability with Kareem Hunt not playing, not just because Kareem Hunt, if he was injured in his ankle, but you caused the story in the locker room. There's going to be some disruptiveness there. New York Jets undecided at quarterback today. Yeah, well, they're going to start the old man McCown. How about that? Did I just tell you about that? Yeah, they're going to start the old man. If they start the young rookie, it's going to be even worse. Kid hasn't played in a while, and his foot's all banged up. This line now resurfaced at 10. That's a shame because it was 8 for a lot, and I know it bounced up, I believe, late last night, early this morning. I think Tennessee wipes the Jets off the map in this game, and I don't think the Tennessee Titans are very good at all. I just think the Jets have just, thrown in the towel. What are you going to get? You're going to have a quarterback whose throwing hand is banged up, or you're going to go to a rookie quarterback on the road whose foot's just not quite there? That sounds like a recipe for disaster. Banged up wide receivers. No one's going to give it a go. Robbie Anderson's going to give it a go. I just don't think the Jets are very good. I can see this game, a little bit lower scoring on the end of it because obviously it's only played at 40. But same way I had that thought process, maybe like a 28-10, 28-14 type game where the Tennessee Titans win and cover in that football game. I just think the Jets stink. I just think they're done. And what games are we playing? Hey, watch this. We don't know who quarterback is. You think Tennessee cares about what quarterback's going on or going to play in this football game? And Tennessee's not a road grading team that's going to say, you know what, let's just blow this team off the field. I just think Tennessee is just a marginally much, much better football team in this game. Taylor Lewan's going to play. Butler's going to play. Compton's going to play. They should be ready to go. And as I said, you're going to get some active. Marcus May's downgraded to out for the season. And I just think they get rolled. I just think the Jets are just going to fire Todd Bowles at the end of the season, and they just don't want to get their young quarterback hurt. But I think they get smacked in this one. I do. Minnesota and New England. What a game here. I gave out earlier this week, folks, the over 48.5 in this game. Now I'm getting a little bit of pushback in this just because the reason is Stephon Diggs, who's such a big part of this game plan for me in order to get this over, even if we're in the back, the Minnesota Vikings, knee swelling. And I hate to see, I just can't stand to see game time decision type players like Xavier Rhodes. If you're looking for the over, I want Xavier Rhodes to play in this game because he's not going to be 100%. They're going to just run streak after streak after streak by that guy, and they're probably not going to start or activate another cornerback they could have, and Xavier Rhodes will probably do that. Hey, man, I tried to give it a go, but I'm out in the second quarter, and that's really going to hamstring that defense, so to speak, because he has a hamstring injury. But on offense, that hurts Stephon Diggs because you already know Adam Thielen's banged up. So let's just say Diggs goes, but he's not 100%. That does nothing because he's built on speed. He's the guy that you need to get deep to stretch the defenses, and he can't do that. Adam Thielen battling calf injuries, back injuries. So he's, not fully 100%. That's really going to hurt if you're looking to take a total because then what are you going to rebound to? Running Dalvin Cook on the ground and keeping it in Kirk Cousins' hands where not everybody's as wide open as they should be. That hurts. But when you're looking from a New England perspective, I like the fact on the over from New England side. As healthy as their offense has been in a long time, they should be able to put up points and good weather in Foxborough. Mid-50s, not a lot of wind. But I am getting a little bit of pullback. I do want to see a little bit later today. Maybe we'll have something on the halftime show about what can actually take place in that game. I still would lean towards the over. But look, man, if you're not going to give me Diggs, and man, it makes it a lot tougher. It really does. It's hard to beat New England and Foxborough as it is. So now you're going to tell me no Rhodes, no Diggs, or at least, 50% of those two guys. That's tough. That's a tough one. But I do, if we're looking at lines right now, opened up 6, 5.5, sitting at 5.5 right now. I believe that line dipped to 4s during the week, but it's never good information when everything that's coming out with the Minnesota Vikings is bad and mostly coming out good from a perspective on the New England side. It's hard to beat New England in New England. If the Minnesota Vikings were full go and healthy, I don't care about Sendejo if he's out or not. Get a healthy Xavier Rhodes, a healthy Stephon Diggs, they would give New England all they can handle because that pass rush should fluster Tom Brady a little bit. But I just think you're going to come up short. That's 2 key injuries that you can't have in this football game if you want to peel through. 377, 378, San Francisco, Seattle, Nick Mullins, the great Nick Mullins, who, I don't know, maybe, you know what, maybe we're outsmarting ourselves here and saying, look, CJ Beathard gives us a chance to win games. Nick Mullins does not really at this point. So we are going to start Nick Mullins. And we just want to see if he's anything worth keeping on the team because there's no reason for Nick Mullins to start again without his top 2 wide receivers. That was a disaster. They got rolled in Tampa Bay. Now you're going to go up to a hungry Seattle football team in a wild environment and put Nick Mullins out there. 10 is a lot of points for the Seattle Seahawks, though. Don't get me wrong. You can run on the Seattle defense, which is what, Brady is going to try to do. But you have Nick Mullins calling the shots. He's not going to get these guys in the right positions. Play clock's going to be winding down. He's not going to be able to hear the snap calls. Sounds like a disaster out there. And over under 45, you get good conditions, though. 45 degrees, no wind. So you get some pretty good conditions there for scoring in Seattle. But what does Seattle want to do? They want to push the gas pedal or just want to run the clock out? That's what we're going to have to determine this game. I think Seattle's the play. And it's hard. Look, man, it's the have and the have-nots now. San Francisco's white flagging it for the rest of the year. We don't want to win. We're not even putting valuable guys out at wide receiver at this point. Personal issues and all this and whatnot. And Pierre Garçon's not going to play. So I would wave the white flag. Seattle are only for me in this football game. Last one of the night here, 353, 354. Steelers. Steelers win this football game. And you say running backs don't matter. Melvin Gordon matters. Melvin Gordon matters big time because that would be the difference. And I think, winning this football game and losing for the San Diego, I'll call them San Diego Chargers. Forget about calling them LA. But I think Pittsburgh gets it right here. They've had a pretty good read on the last couple Sunday Night Football games. Hard to win on the road, especially on Sunday Night Football against good teams with a home field advantage. You're going to get some nice weather, which Pittsburgh's a throwing team. Pittsburgh isn't just going to hammer away with James Conner. They're going to open it up. Juju Smith-Schuster. They're going to open up to Brown. And Big Ben should be able to have some time to throw the football. I know Bosa's out there. No Denzel Perryman, no Mebane. And again, the biggest injury of all, no Melvin Gordon. So I think Phillip Rivers is going to struggle a little bit at quarterback. This isn't going to be a runaway game at all either. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to jump them like they did on the Panthers and just roll them right out of here. I think it's going to be a tough, hard-fought game, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win this game and cover the 3 for that night game. Got a couple minutes left to spend here. Take a little bit of a shot at the chat box. Raiders only decent for a quarter, and that's usually the first. Yeah, we'll see on that one. We will see. I like Austin Eckler, though, as a running back, but now you're going to force him to play instead of a handful of games, a handful of plays into a full start. 3rd and 2, you can hand him the football. You can hand Melvin Gordon the football on 3rd and 2. Not only can he get the first down, but he can run away from a couple people. If we take a look at some of these late line movements coming in, Indianapolis -4. Looks like that game is going to stay 3.5, depending on where you're shopping at Carolina. Baltimore -2.5. Looks like that's going to be the prevailing number. Money coming in on the Cleveland Browns here, folks. Down to 4.5 at Chris. Let's see what else we got here. There you go. You're getting some threes on the board with heavy juice for the Chicago Bears. And let's just see if we have anything a little bit later. Those open games will open up a little bit later. Let's just say who are we going to go with in the first rounds here as our best bet early on. You know what? Public spoken in this one. Early on, New York Football Giants. Even though we're not even getting a good number right here, and it's going against the grain, we're going to go New York Football Giants getting 3.5 at home. I think they keep it close. I don't think Chase Daniels is going to be able to run away with this football game. As long as Eli doesn't go too Eli on us today, we should be able to win and get that cover. A lot of fun. Thanks for you guys tuning in on this nice solo mission here. We're able to cover every single game going up and down the chart. I'll be back on live at halftime. So when one of those first few games go to the half, we'll see what's happening. We'll talk about some of those 4 o'clock games and maybe a little bit later games. But I do want to thank you for tuning in to sportsbookreview.com. And keep in mind, folks, if you do like the programming here at the channels, please support it, like it, retweet it, get it out there. Come into the chat box and say hello. Goes a long way for both myself and all the people behind the scenes at sportsbookreview.com. This has been the closing line kickoff edition. Join me at halftime, folks. We'll have a little bit more fun so we can give out some winners. But I'll be on those New York Giants getting 3.5 at 1 p.m. Take care.